This is a video demonstrating how to work a seed stitch. Seed stitch is a stitch pattern where you knit a stitch, purl a stitch, knit a stitch, purl a stitch across a row, and on the following row you knit above the purls and purl above the knits so that you create this interesting stitch pattern. The way it's worked is you knit a stitch and then you purl a stitch. Knit a stitch, purl a stitch across the row. Now, there are some key things here that you need to keep in mind though. When you knit a stitch and then you change to purling a stitch, you have to bring the yarn forward. And it's actually bringing the yarn more than 360 degrees around the right needle before you make the purl stitch. This puts a lot of extra yarn in the space right there between the knit and the purl. In order to keep that space as small as possible, you need to bring the yarn firmly forward after the knit and then create the purl, keeping the yarn firm. When you go from the purl, the yarn is in the front, you take it to the back, and now see it's not going around that right needle. It's only going maybe 3/4 the way around the needle because you're switching from a purl to a knit, and you can use your regular tension because that's already a short strand going from the purl to the knit. When you go from the knit to the purl, you need to bring that yarn firmly forward, make the purl, and then release that tension, make the knit with the normal tension. Purl, bring the yarn firmly forward, knit. Now when you turn to through the next row, you look at the first stitch. This one, it shows a purl bump, so you know we're going to do a knit. You're going to do whatever the opposite is of the stitch that's on the previous row. So we're going to do knit, purl, across the row. Now, on the lower portion of this swatch, I worked that without pulling the yarn firmly forward after the knit and before the purl. And you can see there are holes and uneven tension in the work. On the second half of the swatch, I brought the yarn firmly forward between the knits and the purls, and you can see how even that is. You can see the difference there. That's all there is to it.